Second one, no good. Enos with a rebound, gives it off to Childress. Here come the Jackets, trailing by 2. Here's Childress off to Atkinson. Atkinson runs off a couple of screens. And looking for somebody, knocked away and out of bounds.
This is Hardrocker Highlights from the Christensen Hall of Fame here on the campus of the School of Mines with Jason Henry, head coach of the Hardrockers, who's a happy coach at least for a few days. The Hardrockers coming up with that thrilling 2-point win over Black Hills State on the road last Thursday up in Spearfish. And Jason, a win like that on the road is certainly not only is a big confidence booster for the Hardrockers, but I think the rest of the league kind of took a look at that.
Well, you know, it is. It's always fun to play that game, and to come out on top is definitely nice. But it's been back-to-back years now where we've been up there and you know, hitting shots at the buzzer and then missing a shot at the buzzer, you know, for a couple years now. And it's a fun way to win games. I'd rather have a 10-point lead or at the very end kind of thing. But anytime you can get up there and play a top 10 team in the country on their home floor, and then add the big rivals to it. It sure was fun, and I'm happy for our guys. But we were able to take a couple days off now, and you know, like you said, it's exciting for a couple days, but now it's back to business. We got 4 of our last 6 games on the road.
Explain to us what happened at the end of the game, because as we did the game on the Hills 97.5, there was no time left on the clock. The officials conferred with the timer and elected to put up 0.5 of a second back on the clock, which gave Black Hills a desperation possibility. But what were you told why they did put the time back up?
Well, you know, we thought it was a delayed whistle, and nobody really knew how much time was left. You know, going back afterwards and after talking through it with people who were at the games and head officials and all that kind of stuff is they probably did do it wrong, you know, and they admitted that, which doesn't happen very often with officials, and probably didn't handle it right. And the fact that Black Hills, you know, they put in a $500,000 system in there, and part of that is whistles and stopping the clock, and that's why I didn't really understand it, is why do we have this technology to stop the clock, whether or not the whistle blew and all that kind of thing is different. But you know, how can you put time on the clock when you have some of these things in place to make sure that that same thing doesn't happen? And it did. It gave them one more opportunity to you know, have a desperation shot. And I tell you what, we're not smiling very much if that shot goes in, and you know, then all of a sudden they go back and say, yeah, we maybe shouldn't have done that. And that's part of the game, you know, with the officials and stuff, and they did what they thought was right, and that's what you got to go with. And luckily the shot didn't go in, and you know, all's good. But for them to even get to that point and have a 9-point lead, and Kane Atkinson coming off and hitting 3 threes and that kind of thing, is Black Hills did what they needed to do to get to that point.
You know, we've talked a lot during the season, Kyle Dewar, Michael Dietz, Nate Jacobson, but all year you said that there's one player that's come off the bench and been your kind of fire plug, your spark plug, and that was Caleb Raymer. And he certainly probably was at the top of his game on Thursday.
Oh, he was, and he did that exact same thing last year against Minot, where, you know, he comes in and not only gives us that energy, but, you know, he can score. I mean, he was one of the top players coming out of Wyoming his senior year, and he's just battled injuries like you wouldn't believe, you know, the last few years, well, every year, you know. And I told him this year, which he didn't really like, but I said, we're not playing you more than 10 minutes in a game so we can have you at the end of the year. And we haven't had him at the end of the year. In fact, I don't think he's played the last you know, couple times against BH. You know, he's always been dinged up and something's going on. So he finally got an opportunity to play in that last BH game, and he did what he's capable of doing. You know, like I said, he's a very athletic guy. He's an energy guy. He's a hard-working guy. But he plays 100% every single possession, and sometimes where he runs into walls and dives on the ground and that kind of thing he is a little bit more prone to injuries and just the way he plays. So I was excited for him, but you know, he's got to keep plugging away, and we need him to come off the bench, and whether it's scoring, whether it's defense, whether it's just making a play, we need to continue to have that from Caleb.
We go on to the road with the Hardrockers playing at Valley City State on Friday, and on Saturday they'll play at Jamestown, of course, which is actually taking over the conference lead as we record this. Jason, just from your perspective as a coach, coaches like to say we take it one game at a time, and I think that's a true statement, most coaches. But as you look at this league and what your win did to kind of jumble things up a little, do you ever take a peek down the road and see who's playing who over the next couple of weeks and just kind of project some things out?
Oh, especially now, especially the second half of the season. The first half, it doesn't mean squat because, you know, you look at even Dickinson, you know, they started out 5-0 in the league, and next thing you know, they're last 3 of their last 4. And some of that has to do with just the way you're playing, maybe the way the schedule goes. Like I said, 4 of our last 6, basically 5 of our last 7 are on the road, you know, so maybe those other teams had a lot of those games at home. So a number of different things. But if it's anything like last year, you can try to figure it out as much as you want. But until that last weekend, we really didn't even know. You know, I think, I haven't gone back to check, but I think we could have finished 2nd or even all the way down to 7th last year going into the last weekend. So as much as we want to project, we know that we have a Valley City team that's very good at home. We know that we got beat by a Mayville team, you know, that we think we probably shouldn't have, you know, in the bottom half of the league. And those are games that you have to win the conference championship. So there's no way we're looking past Valley City to go to a Jamestown that's ranked in the country. We just came off of beating 2 ranked teams and all that fun stuff. But our priority number 1, and I don't even have to say much to our guys because they know what happens, you know, if you overlook somebody, and that's already happened to us this year, probably a couple times, but one time for sure in conference.
Jason Henry talking about the Hardrockers coming off that big win over Black Hill State. This is Hardrocker Highlights for Jason Henry, Tom Rudebusch from the Christensen Hall of Fame here on the campus of the School of Mines.